Alright, so this is week 2 for Engine. I'll just go straight through it. I'll show you the first one, which is the faded colors. Here's the faded colors. I wasn't able to get the pretty pink you got. Second is the solid colors, and that is the solid color one. And then the third one, oh wait, no. First we have to, then I'll show you this. So you want us to change around for the colors to be first and the vector to be second of the position data. From my understanding, the only thing I needed to change was I had to flip these, so I had to tell the shader that the color comes first, and then the position, and then something that took me longer than I wanted to admit is I had to update this. This is before it was 0, and then, or the position was at 0, and then the color was at this aligned element, but then I had to swap those. I had to say colors at 0, positions at the aligned element, which also just takes whatever number I would put there. But this works, I think, better. And you put that there, so, you know. And then the last one is the color change. It's whatever color, and then you click it again, and it changes again. And those are the three, no, those are the four homework programming assignments you want us to handle. And the next question you want to know is what the difference between constant buffers and shader constants are. I didn't get a lot of information. I think I got enough to satisfy you, but I wasn't. Shader or constant buffers seemed very well written, but shader constants not so much. So my understanding of constant buffers is that they're like arrays of information, or just large, I guess, buffers of information that is accessed by the shader. And the way I assumed it was like kind of like a model that was moving, so it'd have information about all those shaders, or those vertices, and they're constantly moving throughout the body and throughout the world, and they can be updated at runtime, similar to how a model is changing through its animation, and they're meant to be accessed, or they're meant to be very small and low latency to be accessed by the CPU, or quickly by the GPU, depending on what you're using in there. And then on the flip side, there's the shader constant, which is supposed to be index data that cannot be modified. And from my understanding of this, it's similar to a texture, in that you're not really modifying textures ever. Once you load them in, they're likely staying the same. And if you ever change any of the textures, you're changing the texture itself, and not like you're not modifying the texture at all. You're not like putting colors on the texture. You have one texture, and you're not changing it unless you swap it out with someone else. And then the last question you want to like change this this triangle to be color in white. And through my playing, I was able to kind of determine what might be the problem. Since you've said the math isn't wrong, I assume it has to do with what we're doing with the shaders. So this is the original information. This is me just taking the shader information that you sent us and putting it in there. And then from playing with it, I realized the reason this doesn't work is because we're the information that we're modifying with this shader information is strictly modifying the vertices and what interacts with the vertices. So you wanted like a big bright white outline, and you can't modify that because this is all background code. This is a background thing, and I believe that. So as you can see in this, it looks almost unfazed because it's so small. So the math you use wasn't able to get around because you're only modifying what's within this triangle. And then we can change it again, or change this to false, and then show you that the bigger it gets, the more color you can notice. And the reason that blue is a background, and I know there's something, there you go, background color, midnight blue. So that's something that we can't touch because that has nothing to do with the vertices that we're modifying. So now that it's bigger, you can see that you kind of get what you're looking for in that picture, but rather only in the triangle itself within these bounds, and the rest out here is simply modified or unmodifiable information unless we had a giant square. I guess you could make a square in the background, fill that with this shader color, and then make this triangle. But from that information, my understanding is that you just simply can't modify the shader information you're modifying is strictly in the triangle itself, which is why modifying the shader itself isn't going to modify the outside. And that is week 3.